Alright, Veilguard. Chat. Veilguard, more like veil fart. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, boom.
So last night, news came out that Dragon Age the Veilguard is indeed a financial failure. And the modern audience and the Veilguard shills, they are very upset by this news. And they're making all kinds of coat posts and like rage posts about it. For example, this one that says, the reason why Veilguard didn't sell well. Unpopular opinion, but I think Veilguard's...
That but should be followed by, but I think it's because it's a dog shit game. Nothing else should follow.
Reputation just got damaged by the anti-woke crowd, even before the game came out. And we're going to read that full post in just a minute because it looks hilarious. But first, let's just get the news real quick. So yeah, this headline from ITC reads, Dragon Age the Veilguard failed in sales, only got 50% of EA's expectations.
Ooh, 50%. Yeah, they were expecting to make money on this thing, and now they're losing money.
Half of what they wanted, man. Terrible. The full write-up, which is only a few brief paragraphs, reads, Electronic Arts shares plummeted by 18%, the biggest drop since 2008. This huge drop came after the company warned that its financial results would be lower than expected due to poor sales results of 2 games. They put most of the blame for the poor financial results on its football game, EA Sports FC 2025, which was released in September and received mixed reviews. This month, the company introduced an update. Another culprit, though, is the role-playing game Dragon Age the Veilguard, which was released in October after a tumultuous development cycle. It reached 1.5 million players during the quarter, falling short of the company's expectations by about 50%.
They thought that they would have 3 million players? Holy.
So yeah, this thing was a complete financial failure. How embarrassing, man.
Yikers.
Pathetic sales. And then over on Steam, it's also getting worse for Veilguard because the recent review score has dropped all the way down to mixed at only 64%. And the all-time score barely hanging on to its mostly positive rating at 70%. At the rate things are going, that's likely to also fall below 70% and also become a mixed score. Furthermore, as we discussed a few days ago, the Veilguard director, Corinne Bush, also fled the company, leaving BioWare. I wonder if this timing is just coincidence. Like, Corinne...
Asmonbald already said this, but she definitely roached out, chat. She roached out. She's like, I'm out of here. I saw the clip where they're just like, yep, I'm leaving the company, see ya. And she's like, yep.
Bush leaves BioWare, and then a few days later, this report comes out that
Yikes.
Veilguard was such a financial flop. Of course, there's also a lot of speculation that Bush...
I thought the saying was, the captain goes down with their ship. Yeah, I don't trust coincidence. I don't really. I give people the benefit of the doubt, usually, and I try to, like, say, oh, you know, sometimes things happen. It doesn't mean it automatically correlates. Like, I like to dive down deep, but this is definitely not good. It's not like, you know, half the studio fell apart and then, you know, the CEO or director left. It's quite literally, I jumped off the boat first.
Bush was kind of forced out over this whole disaster too. But make of all that speculation what you will. All right, with that context, that takes us back over to the subreddit for Dragon Age the Veilguard, and this recent top post over there from only 17 hours ago that reads, the reason why Veilguard didn't sell well. Once again from the top, unpopular opinion, but I think Veilguard's reputation just got damaged by the anti-woke crowd even before the game came out. If you go to YouTube and search for Veilguard, you'll see vast majority of the content being created for this game is by drama queens who farm hate from every progressive media.
I'm a drama queen,
that is some
right?
very politically obsessed phrasing right there. It's pretty telling that they don't even view Veilguard first and foremost as a video game. No, what they view it as first, like the first thing about it, oh, this is just progressive.
And that's the problem. Baldur's Gate 3, I keep bringing up Baldur's Gate 3, but it's obviously an amazing example. It is a game first, and then everything else is secondary. You can fuck all the characters you want in the game and be gay or whatever. Nobody gives a fuck. You can even have a character with a peepee on, a girl with a peepee. And you can fuck a bear. That's actually a really good point. Thank you. I think it's a good game, man. It's just a good game. You can play it however you want. This is like this game was made with the premise of like owning the chuds to do whatever they want. If you make like a polarizing content sphere for a video game, the content sphere outside of that isn't going to enjoy it.
Aggressive media. Their Veilguard videos are getting the most views and likes. When a potential customer sees this negative environment online, their first thought would be, maybe this game isn't worth buying.
That's kind of how it works, yeah.
Why would you want potential customers to waste their money on a game they probably won't even enjoy? Some like AAA, HR in the room, modern audience slop. It's hilarious how they're phrasing this as if the critics of Veilguard are in the wrong, when in reality they're just making us all sound based. I especially love how they're trying to act like they're some like progressive individual, and yet the reality of what they're explaining.
And again, people could say, like someone's saying, BG3 is giga woke in a good way. I don't even think it's the word woke is even the appropriate use for it, because woke and base and all these trigger words, they aren't even woke in the sense, because the studio doesn't say that it's woke or that it's trying to put in non-binary characters or say that they're putting identity politics from the real world into the game. It just is. It just exists. It's natural and it's part of the game. If you don't want to engage with it and you want to kill everyone and you want to do that, that's awesome. You can just have it in the game. Or you can just not engage with it. There are plenty of people that didn't want to engage with with Gale because he's so flamboyant and people are like, "Oh my god, I don't want to play with this character. He's so gay." It doesn't matter cuz you can kill him or kick him out of the party and never interact with him. That whole story arc just thrown out the window.
Here is that gamers have caused a massive corrupt corporation to lose a bunch of money.
It's called a preference.
And they're upset at that. These sort of people always LARP as if they're like revolutionaries, but they're the biggest turbo defenders out there. They also never seem to realize that. It's a complete lack of self-awareness. And returning to the post, they say, people always say stuff like this doesn't affect sales much, but I really do think it's having an effect. Especially in recent years, where hating on progressive games, movies, and TV shows has become such a popular thing to do. Like I basically said earlier, this is such a pathetic way of acting.
But games like Baldur's Gate 3 were incredibly progressive by having very inclusive rosters, and you could play whatever you want and be whatever you want. And it won Game of the Year. and nobody batted an eye. Everybody was like, that's awesome, I like that game.
Where they see a corporation pandering to their political views, and then they're instantly compelled to eat that slop right up, no matter how terrible the underlying media itself is. A top response to the OP reading, not an unpopular opinion on this sub, I don't think, more so on the main Dragon Age sub. Quick side note, because I know we interrupted this whole post thing quite a lot, but the OP did have that introduction where they said unpopular opinion, right? So that's what they're referring to there. Continuing.
Right.
This person says, and I agree with you, the clicks culture on YouTube is a pervasive rot. Top response to that saying,
that's not YouTube forcing the click. That's because people want to watch it. Like, if people are agreeing with something, that doesn't mean that the company or the algorithm is like, forcing a click culture on it. If nobody wanted to watch that shit, nobody would watch it and it wouldn't be popular. Like, what are we doing? It's a number. If number go up, then it will recommend more. Like, if people leave a comment and say, blah, 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 that pushes the algorithm.
Dragon Age sub has been infected with bigots for months now. And then this response says, wish the mods there would remove any post that remotely has bigoted dog whistles.
Echo chamber, bro. Yes.
Sometimes people in the comments ask why I read comments like
again, if you want a subreddit to have an echo chamber, at least be honest about it.
This and the voice that I do, and I just read them the way I think they sound. Like, these people sound so whiny and weird to me, so it's just naturally that's the voice I kind of speak in when I read their comments. And then it doesn't help that I'm also just laughing a lot of the time when I read this stuff too. I mean, these people are ridiculous.
They are.
So
they really are.
Again. Says,
they're stupid.
Wish the mods there would remove any post that remotely has bigoted dog whistles. The Avowed sub has done a good job with that, so the Dragon Age sub shouldn't have much trouble doing the same thing. Oh my gosh, man. literally advocated.
And this is why I don't like Reddit, or at least like most subreddits. You just have people that post the same things over and over again, and they echo chamber each other. There's no challenging to it. They just hate or they love. They love or they hate. It doesn't matter. There's no intermediate. And if you're being intermediate, then you get up down duded, and then everybody gets your nobody gets to see your comment.
For the other subs to be censored the same way the Veilguard sub is and the Avowed subreddit. And they're like applauding that. For the record, obviously what this person is referring to as a bigoted dog whistle is things as simple as like criticizing BioWare in this context, or criticizing Tosh. Like if you were to say you think Tosh is not written well, they would refer to you as an instant bigot. They would want you banned from the subreddits. And
they're going to do that with that new game. What's it called? The one with the really bad ads and the bald chick. Yeah, if she becomes a really badly written character, people are going to freak the fuck out and say that it's because you're a bigot and you don't get it. Intergalactic? Is that what it was called? God, I can't even remember. Awoken. Oh yeah, it was Intergalactic with the Nike branded ad and was it a Tesla ad or a Ferrari ad? I can't remember. It's all this. Porsche. It was Porsche, yeah.
You know
Porsche, Corpus
And then
Slurp
there's
ad.
this top post from today, from only 2 hours ago, that says, addressing the anti-woke crowd. I wonder if they realize how much their indiscriminate negativity and dogpiling lessens their power as consumers. I love how one of the top posts blames the quote-unquote anti-woke crowd for ruining Veilguard's reputation and causing it low sales or whatever. And then this one's like, the anti-woke crowd are losing their power as consumers. Veilguard could have launched with an all-white, all-straight male cast, and it would still have problems.
Yeah, because the game sucked. Wow, are they starting to realize something, or what? Is this a grain of self-awareness, or is it just them saying something that they don't realize something sucks? Yeah, because the characters, if a guy was Tosh and they walked up and were like, oh, you smell good, I would think that's outrageous. I would think that's so weird and gross. The double whammy is that the character is horribly written and there's self-inserted politics, identity politics in the video game. Yeah, like it doesn't matter. It's just badly written.
Veilguard could replace its entire team with straight white men and it would still have problems. What a weird straw man. Like, who's even asking for that? People are simply critiquing the game for very valid reasons. For example, you can go over to Steam and take a look at the long list of negative reviews from people who did buy the game and didn't like it, where there's all sorts of different criticisms.
That's
for
pretty
example,
big,
this negative review in part says, this game forces me to be the therapist of a cast of characters that are unlikable adult babies who feel like they came from a Disney movie in the worst way possible. Or this one, for example, that says, romances are laughable in this game. BioWare was once so known for writing good RPG romances that I genuinely struggle to believe these romances are from the same company.
It's just the veil of being the same name of the company, and all the people that wrote the good characters before that in the other games, they're all gone. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, I'm worried about Mass Effect, and I'm like, why are you worried? It's already dead. If you're hoping for a good one, just don't. I'm sorry, just don't.
Or
I don't
this one that in
it.
part says, I cannot in good conscience recommend this game to anyone, especially not Dragon Age or even BioWare fans. I'm shocked that the most prevalent criticism of Veilguard is not the abandonment of the world state import. And the reason I keep saying in part while I read these sections of these reviews is because these people wrote like mini essays. In other words, I'm reading a tiny fraction of these full negative reviews. And these people have extremely well thought out and very detailed explanations for why they don't like the game. This is a recurring theme on a lot of the negative reviews for Veilguard, and once again, you can find this all over on Steam. And one thing they're not all crying about is, oh, we just wanted the game to have all straight white male characters. So once again, the shills for this game are acting extremely politically brain-rotted and just really weird. Really, really weird. It doesn't...
Because that's all that they can attack is the identity politics or just the politics in general. They can't actually take criticism of the game and the script writing and the characters and just the state of the game itself.
There either.
That's all
Returning
they know,
to the post, they go on to make 7 different lines of text, all prefaced with, The Issue, where they go on to talk about a number of production issues that Veilguard faced internally at BioWare.
Yeah,
Much
sure.
of this stuff being things that I discussed in my prior videos about Veilguard. And yet, even then, this person doesn't really get some of this stuff right. For example, they say, the issue with Veilguard is that for the past decade, EA has attempted to maximize its profits by launching live service games that go against everything BioWare stands for as a company. The problem with...
I don't think I ever heard of Dragon Age being a live service game. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. I don't think so.
This is that Veilguard itself was meant to be being created as a live service game at some point, but there's no evidence to suggest that that was entirely the doing of EA, as this post is trying to make it sound like. As a matter of fact, it was Gary McKay who took over as the BioWare GM, who began to switch the production of Veilguard from live service back to single player. Therefore, the fact that it was a BioWare executive who was able to make the switch for Veilguard going from live service to single player also implies that when Veilguard was being developed as a live service game, that it was also BioWare's decision to do that. But here we have a Redditor trying to put all the blame on EA and act like BioWare is completely innocent and can do no wrong. Another example of this is where they say, the issue with Veilguard is that it wasn't given enough time, money, or resources to start over from...
What do you mean? 8 years and millions of dollars isn't enough? There's indie games that start off with like less than $1 million that just make a good game. Like, good lord, man, what is this copium?
Scratch with the third iteration of the game. It was built on the bones of its previous iteration, an MMO, which isn't conductive to creating the sort of game we expect for the series.
What?
But the devs were told to make it work anyway. This is just objectively wrong information. While there was a period of time that Veilguard was being developed as a live service game, as we discussed briefly, it was simply going to have some level of multiplayer components, but not on the level of a full-scale MMO. Furthermore, the argument that BioWare didn't have enough money or resources is not a good argument, considering how many devs have done so much more with their games with so much less. Skipping down to the last section where they also preface it with the issue, they say, the issue with Veilguard is that EA wasted 10 years with their...
I mean, again, yes, there is an issue with video games that are part of massive corporate conglomerates having insanely long development times and going through a lot of hoops and restarting from scratch. But that's not the main reason why it was bad. It's simply not. It's a multitude.
Heads up their behinds, no direction, and constantly moving goalposts that are impossible to achieve. You can see again how this person's trying to put all the blame on EA and acting like BioWare is completely innocent. But they go on to say, and now the issue with Veilguard and BioWare in general is that there are a host of angry, red-pilled netizens who don't even know what they should be angry about or what their demand should be. Instead,
again, Marvel Rivals has hot characters and they have well-made characters with established lore. They didn't shit up the lore. They made the gameplay pretty good. I just don't understand the point of saying things like that and then crying about it and blaming that. It's weird.
They point fingers at women and minorities who really don't and never had the sort of power that people think they do. Another pathetic straw man there. This whole post is full of
wait, angry red-pilled netizens. Whoa. I don't think everybody in my chat is even red-pilled. I'm not gonna lie. We have a pretty good mix, and I think there's a very good mix in everybody's stream that talks about this kind of thing. Or at least I'd hope so. Again, I don't like echo chambering. I think there's fine if there's people that disagree or say things like, well, I don't think that's correct, and I think that's dumb. That's fine. As long as you're not saying, like, Alana, you're fucking retard, kill yourself, I'm fine with it. Like, I'm cool with it. Again, as long as you can present a decent argument, I'm fine with it.
False information.
And that's what it should be. That's what Reddit should be for. That's what these feedback systems should be for.
And strawman arguments, and of course tries to come off like some sort of champion for minorities as they overtly try and gaslight people.
Yeah,
Buddy, you're really not doing
weird.
much to help anyone when you're acting like some sort of deceptive liar, some sort of terminally online Redditor. Their post ends by saying, my advice to fans. Oh yeah, just what the fans needed. Advice from this weirdo. Great. Be intentional and be specific about the things you want in the next game. Don't just post angry ravings about DEI or woke things. Actually look at the game and identify what is missing that you want to be there next time. Advocate for less corporate interference. Demand better production. And always support the developers and writers who you see on social.
Fans saying that they don't like the writing now is not going to change anything next time, I don't think. That's already established, very well established. Do you guys remember Andromeda? Yeah, I remember that game. That was terrible. And that came out, what, like 10 years ago? It was horrible.
Social media, because the actual movers and shakers at huge gaming companies are people
thankfully.
you'll never meet or hear about, but they're happy to let those public-facing devs and writers take the heat when things go south. Be aware of your power as a consumer and be specific about what you want. Oh my gosh, bro, this has to be one of the biggest bootlicker posts I've seen.
Bootlicker.
I wouldn't be surprised if this person was internally working at BioWare or something. At the same time, we've seen out plenty of these sort of modern audience types of people.
And it's not even that. I also think that there are plenty of people that probably disagree with the motives and the actions and the decision making of certain script writing or just general direction of the game. But if you say, hey, maybe it's not appropriate for a character to just be black for the sake of being black, or a woman being for the sake of being a woman, making a character for being a woman, I don't think that's a good thing to do, to shut people down for just having an opinion. If a guy says that, I wouldn't get mad and say you need to get fired, but that's the mentality that people have nowadays, because that's what we get as customers on Twitter. When you start outcrying and saying things like, hey, maybe the character shouldn't have been written like this, or I don't think that the race was actually important to the character, and it should have just been a well-written character in the first place, then people start calling you a racist and a Nazi for some reason. And that's like the baseline response at this point.
Are just like this by default anyways.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at the top response from just 1 hour ago, and then we're going to wrap it up there because that's enough brain rot. But let's take a look at this. It says, as much as I appreciate the sentiment, I find this to be preaching to the choir a little bit. I think the people who are subscribed here have no illusion about why Veilguard has the shortcomings that it does. Another thing is we need to stop reasoning with the anti-woke people, because they don't ever start or enter a conversation with reason.
Okay.
Spreading misery online is their only chance at being seen or heard in their lives, so any engagement, even if you unequivocally dunk on them, is giving them what they want. They don't like Dragon Age, they don't like games, they don't like anything really. They only engage because they see someone enjoying something and they can't have that. It's truly ironic how this person talks about seeing things with objective reason, as they simultaneously act like a post with objectively...
But then the same people are trying to get people banned for like... in the same thread, there's people saying that mods should delete other people's opinions. Yeah, vote for with your wallet, but not like that. That's inappropriate. People are losing money and they're losing their jobs over it. Shut the hell up.
False information is the truth. And then acting like people who criticize Dragon Age the Veilguard just don't like video games at all and don't like anything. What an insane thing to say. And of course, equally as insane is their whole thing about like, these people have never been seen or heard in their lives. They just want to spread misery and can't let anyone enjoy anything. You know, all that really weird stuff.
You're allowed to enjoy Dragon Age. You genuinely are. I think there's probably like a couple of things that aren't too bad about it, but like... to say that it's uncriticizable and to say that it's perfect just because BioWare made it and they used to make great games and now we're putting this like political like identity politics into it, I don't know, man. You're allowed to be upset just as much as you're allowed to be happy about it.
Said. So yeah, that's definitely enough brain rot. I'm gonna leave it there. The point of all this is to say that based on today's news, it is now officially confirmed that Veilguard is a financial failure. And as you can see, the modern audience types are freaking out and becoming crazier than ever, like going full aggro rabid mode. So yeah, let me know what you think about all that stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed my coverage, please consider liking and or subscribing. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Yeah, not a surprise to anyone, to be honest. Again, I am impressed that they had the projection to have 3 million players playing across, like, Xbox and whatever. I think it was Xbox that released it. Yeah, and Steam. Ugh. Yeah, not too hot. And again, it probably cost millions of dollars to make, so they probably didn't even break even at this point. But yeah, check them out. Thank you, Hero Hey. Thank you for the video. Haha. We love shitting on Veilguard. We're based for not buying. Again, you make a bad product. If I go to a local fast food chain and it's a piece of shit and I don't like the food, I'm not gonna go back. I won't even say anything. I've never written a review in my life saying, oh, this McDonald's is really, really bad, or this restaurant's really, really bad on, like, Google reviews, because I don't give a fuck. I just don't go there anymore. I might tell my friends that it sucks, but that's the same principle as, like, this. Most people just don't play the game. I only review something if I have genuinely horrible experience. Yeah, like, I don't know, the game doesn't start, or, like, the first opening sequence, like, the character's, like, farting shit in your face, and you're like, what the hell? Why did I spend money on this? Like, you know?